eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on?
No matter how far you go into the dark, when you flip, you go exactly the same place to the light in our galaxy. Everything. Because everything is in balance. Everything is a polarity.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is.
What the hell is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. And it must be Friday because the whole thing is full of gifted memberships already. You guys are unreal. Thank you for being here. We've got a pretty interesting show today. I know I say that every single time, but apparently someone has psionically connected with a non-human intelligence and made it land and filmed it. Now, we're going to be looking at this blind. Now, I was going to watch the whole thing, but it's like an hour and 20 minutes, and I don't know how much of it was good, but I'm pretty sure with my skills, I have pulled the best parts without actually watching it. I don't think we've missed anything critical. If I have, I'll probably be able to pull it up quickly. But we're going to be getting into the best bits. Probably got about, 40 minutes of footage to get through, all to do with Michael Batista and his encounter that he has filmed. Now, I know a lot of people have strong feelings about this already, and trust me, I get it. Trust me. But I haven't fully seen it yet, so I'm trying not to be pessimistic, and I want to go into this with an open mind, and I'm hoping it's going to be something interesting. Now, as you can see, the girl is awake, and your chat should be there, but it's not. I can fix that. It's okay. I can fix that. See, we can do things on the fly here because we are an adaptable show, okay? Things happen and you got to roll with the punches and you just make it work. And there we go. So Suki is awake because we have some snacks and because it's Friday. And, everyone, after a hard week of chasing the postman and investigating UFOs, we all want a little snack, right? It would be rude if Suki wasn't included in that. There she goes. Some yummy dried kangaroo. All right, let's get into these gifted memberships before we start the show. Serpent has gifted a membership. Taris has gifted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individuals. Thank you very much, sir. You're a legend. Helen, you little freak, welcome. Thank you for becoming a member. Bleak with $3. Tommy's gifted a membership. Rusty and Rambro have all gifted memberships. You guys are actually crazy, honestly. The generosity is unmatched. You're unreal. Thank you so much. Welcome to all the new weirdos. Let's jump over to the Polarity TV. And we'll get rid of this. Now, rather than jumping straight into the first clip of the show, I thought it would be nice to just take a look at where we first met Michael Batista. When Michael and I first met, I want to take us back to that moment. And that was in the very first episode of Skywatcher. So this is only, I think, about a minute and a half. And then we'll get into the clips that he's released with Ross Coulthard today.
My name is Michael Batista. I'm 32 years old, and I'm a former U.S. Army Green Beret, 3rd Group.
And Mike, do you believe that a higher form of non-human intelligence has been visiting this planet?
Yes, I do.
When you make that statement, how confident are you that is true?
I'm extremely confident.
Do you feel like you believe that is true, or do you feel like you know that is true?
I know that it's true.
When did your experience with the phenomena begin?
The first experiences I was having was in my early teens, and it started to accelerate as I grew up. And as my time in the military was ending and I was getting out, it really accelerated at that point.
And when this happens, can you explain how it usually manifests or how you experience it?
It usually manifests as something anomalous in the sky, orbs, crafts, different pyramid-looking objects moving at extreme rates of speed and doing very angular movements.
When you do this, are there other people around? Do they actually see you doing this?
I have multiple witnesses that can testify that That is a fact.
And how many times do you feel like you've been able to summon something in the sky?
Anytime I want.
Anytime I want. It's a pretty big statement. Anytime I want. Okay. And obviously this is back at episode 1 of Skywatcher, when all of us had a big bright shine in our eyes, when we were all excited, and then it all went to shit. It didn't go to shit, but I mean, it's how do I say that in a nicer way? It didn't really deliver on the hype. You know what I mean? But that was Michael. I mean, I remembered that because, you know, hard to forget a guy with a machine gun tattooed on the side of his head. So that's why I remembered that clip, because I remembered the tattoo. So I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at that. JL Lammy's gifted 5 memberships. JL, you are a beautiful human being. Thank you for the support. Bronny says, Josh, happy Friday. Much love from the dog shit picker-upper in Chicago. UFOs for the win. UFOs for the win. Thank you, brother. Shout out to you. And I hope you've had a great day of picking up dog shit. It sounds like a great time. And Midwestern Mum with a little slice of cake for me. Thank you very much. So I think, by the way, guys, slap a like on the video just because it's Friday, really. It helps us, and it's Friday. Why not? A few people in the chat are saying that they're already not sold. Some of you guys have probably already seen this stuff. But like I said, I'm trying to stay objective here, and I'm going in blind, and I want to believe. Okay, I want to believe, but that can be a problem. Few people are saying that he can't be a Green Beret because he doesn't sound smart. I don't know about that statement. Now, I'm not a Green Beret myself, if you couldn't tell. I know some of you might have thought I am, but you're wrong. I'm actually not a Special Forces officer. Easy mistake to make. But I don't know if the way someone speaks is the best indication of their military rank. But hey, I could be wrong. What do I know? So let's get into the show. This is Ross Coulthard speaking with Michael Batista with some new footage that Michael has taken of a landed UAP and the occupants.
Well, g'day and welcome back to Reality Check. I'm your host, Ross Coulthard. Now, one of, I suspect, the most intriguing stories or accounts in ufology, UAPology, if there's such a thing, is accounts of encounters with beings, entities, aliens, a non-human intelligence. Periodically, I'll get sent videos of very blurry, faraway objects, and people say they saw an entity or a being, and it's very, very frustrating. But today, I think we've got something quite extraordinary.
Okay, Ross.
A Green Beret, former Green Beret,
You're getting me excited.
Mike Batista is joining us. Welcome, Mike. Good to...
Who gave him that name, by the way? Who called him Magic Mike? I don't know how I feel about that.
have you here.
Happy to be here.
Mike's a former US Army Green Beret. I think you got out in 2023. Is that Mike? Right, Mike?
It was around 2021.
2021, was it? Right. Mike's also been one of the psionics working very closely with Jake Barber's Skywatcher group doing the psionic summoning. And in the course of the last few years, Mike's been seeing and experiencing, often in his private capacity outside of his work with Skywatcher, some quite extraordinary phenomena. And we're going to show you a video today that, frankly, is extraordinary. And I challenge anyone to provide me with a prosaic explanation for what we're about to show you.
Ross is bigging this video up. Like, he's speaking like this is big.
I think potentially what Mike is about to show us today is momentous. Is it imagery of a non-human intelligence? Magic Mike Batista, welcome. Welcome to Reality Check. Good to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Before we get into this, Mike, can you just explain to me, when did you first become aware of the fact that you had these alleged psionic psi abilities?
So it was completely by accident. Growing up, I had seen the, UAP phenomena in the sky, and didn't think much of it. I felt like I was the only one seeing things in the sky. And it wasn't until, I was ending my military career, I was on leave and I was out on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And, I was outside, it was dark out, and, I was just looking up at the stars. And I saw something going by. And, growing up, I had watched Ancient Aliens, UFO Hunters, all that stuff. It's entertainment, it's fun. And I'm a military guy. So, when I see something going by in the sky, I'm like, oh, it's satellite, drone, plane, pretty easy to identify. But this thing that was going by, it looked like what you would call an orb. And just from my basic knowledge of, the phenomenon, it was very basic at the time. It's like I heard they communicate telepathically. So I'm just sitting out there like thinking to myself, well, if that's an orb and this is, potentially non-human intelligence, if you can hear me, stop. And this thing was just going and it just stopped. And I was sitting there, I was like, whoa, that's not normal. It's pretty late. Mike, you probably need to go to bed. You're hallucinating. So I'm standing there. I was like, wow, that was crazy. So I was like, okay, so if we're doing this and this is real, I see you and you see me, shine the brightest white light that you can, and this thing just started glowing, like a little mini sun. Like it's like
so that's called a pulse. I understand in the parlance that's called a pulse up. It kind of flashes at you.
Yep, it did, and it did it instantaneously too, which I thought was interesting at the time.
You shine your light again for me, please. There you are. Thank you. One more time, please. Thank you.
So
I don't know about that. I mean, let me just watch that again.
For me, please. There you are. Thank you. One more time, please. Thank you.
What do you guys think about that? Like, it doesn't really look like it's directly responding to it. Like, it could be. Okay, I don't want to write this guy off. But I think we just need to realize that, like, let's just say we noticed something in the sky that was pulsing in and out. It would be very simple to speak in between its pulses and make it appear like it's reacting to you. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I'm just saying, like, let's ask some questions to the stuff that's being presented to us.
So, Mike, that's where you're saying you actually invite a UAP to shine, and it flashes at you, and you say, there you are. Can you talk to me what happened when that happened?
So that wasn't the first occurrence that you brought up earlier. That was maybe a couple months ago, and it was I was just looking up at the sky, not particularly trying to communicate with anything, but it seems like the phenomena just kind of pop in sometimes to say hello. And after the amount of experience I have now, it's pretty easy to spot them out. And as it was going by, I was like, flash for me, and then it would pulse. And I sit there, and I think I said thank you, and it does it again, and before it just speeds away. And that's what's interesting about the phenomenon, like the responsiveness, just from thinking about it. There seems to be a connection there.
Now, one of the things I've got a healthy respect for, I've met a lot of people in special forces, commandos, and the Green Berets, of course, is an elite unit in the US Army. A lot of the guys that I've met over the years, and women who've worked in these areas, they often talk about an intuition. They have a kind of a second sight, a sense that there's an imminent threat. Did that ever happen to you as a soldier?
Yeah, I think when, especially when you're going through training and you're being indoctrinated to that type of lifestyle, you're constantly in that fight or flight mode. And I think that may actually enhance that intuition, that gut feeling that, danger might be around the corner. And I've always listened to those gut feelings, and, they haven't served me wrong yet. So
now that I can vibe with, that I understand. Instinct, intuition, leaning into it, never serves you wrong. That I understand. The very short clip of speaking to the orb and it flashing back, I'm not sold on. Matt Disney gifted a membership, and John Anthony gifted 5. Guys, it must be Friday. Thank you very much. Very generous of you. 35 Farm says, I totally believe it. Michael is hot as well. Fair enough. And I appreciate Wound or Weirdo, the puppy poo picker, because I've hired those services in the past and they had quite a gig going on. Thank you very much. And she also says the others are using him for disclosure like Bledsoe. It's a soul contract, a setup probably in family lineage. Well, yes, this guy's, and this is a question I was going to pose with this video as we get a little bit further into it, is like, when it comes to people who are communicating with these things, as we looked at yesterday when we watched Jason Samosa's video, we need to start talking about genetics. Like, these people's genetics and DNA needs to be looked at. Like, is this something that someone with his specific genetics or genetic makeup can experience, but someone else can't? I mean, that would answer a lot of questions if that is the case.
Had you ever been aware of detecting UAPs, UFOs in your time in the military? Had you ever seen anything anomalous during your time in service?
The only anomalous thing that I saw was, so the first occasion that I told you about a year later, it went dormant for about a year after that, pulse. And, I was asking it to go to different parts of the sky and it was doing it. Went dormant for a year, completely strange. And then it was March 15th, 2021. It was like the day my life changed and will never be the same. I was at home. I was on the phone with a friend of mine. I was in my backyard just looking up. And I look up and there's this blue mist pretty high up in the sky, but, not that high up, not like a satellite. It was a blue mist and there was this transparent cube in the mist, which I snapped a picture of as well. And that was the start of this journey.
I love how all the guys in the chat who normally have their jaw on the floor and drooling when we watch any clip of Anna Paulina Luna are telling all the girls in the chat to calm down. The irony is strong.
So just talk to that blue cube for a moment, Mike, and talk about it for me.
Yeah, so it was just hovering, just stationary in the sky, and it looked like the cube inside was transparent, and it was kind of moving like this, and then it just kind of drifted and faded away. And I was on the phone, so I told
the girls got to eat too. Come on, the girls got to eat.
I told them exactly what was happening, and then I didn't think much of it. I just thought it was cool, until the next day, and then the next day, and the next day, where I was consistently being visited by this phenomenon daily since then. And it was almost like they showed up and they're like, hey, we're not leaving. Like, we're here. Like, the faster you get over it, the faster we can get back to business type thing.
So when you say that there was that level of communication, that level of messaging, were you actually hearing a voice in your head? How was it communicating with you?
Well, that type of communication, had to be built over time. It didn't just come, the first time I saw one. It's like the responsiveness and asking for validation for certain things. It's almost like they teach you the language to communicate with them with. And, I'll project the thought out in an attempt to communicate. And even now, I'll feel like I'll get a response back in words, and, not particularly my voice, but, it's been validated when I get these confirmations. And even now still, I struggle, is that my imagination? Am I just making it up? Or, but when they show up, when they do what you're asking them to do and inviting them to do, there's your validation for that.
So
it's interesting to hear him be kind of vulnerable in that way. And even this guy is a Skywatcher psionic asset, right? We saw the clip of him in the deck chair with the blindfold on. Okay, so this guy's quite I guess, experienced with this stuff as far as we can tell, and as far as being an experienced psionic asset goes. But even he's here on News Nation with Ross Coulthart saying, I even question my own sanity sometimes, and that, like, am I actually experiencing this, or am I going crazy? I mean, that's to me feels like a very honest way to come across about this, because if I put myself in those shoes, I feel like it would be very easy to feel the same way. Like someone who is genuine and honest with themselves and is having an experience like this, like summoning a craft and orbs interacting with them in the sky. I think any reasonable person who is interacting with a light in the sky in an intelligent manner is going to question their own sanity. Like that is a sign of a reasonable, normal person in that situation, I think. Someone who was on here just going like flat out, it's all true, it's all real, I talk to angels, that would be sus. I like the fact that there's like a little bit of humility here.
Did the landing incident occur?
Well, there were several of those. The one they're revealing today, that occurred in April of 2023.
So talk me through how that came about. What was happening? Why do you think that this alleged landing of what I say this with a laugh because it is just such confronting imagery, what we're about to show the public. It is extraordinary. How did this happen?
Well, this is after a year and change of just being outside every night, like interacting with the phenomenon and building that relationship, but still not understanding my purpose in this or why they're visiting me, almost like loitering. And I want to say harassing, but they're like, hey, we're getting his attention by any means. So, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, why is this happening to me? Like, what do you want? You guys are showing up every day. We're doing this. Like, you come in close, but for what purpose? Like, if you're this hyper intelligent species, this non-human intelligence, that's way far more advanced than us, then just land. I was like, do it. Like, are you too scared to land? I was almost antagonizing, the connection in my mind. And because I was frustrated, I didn't know why this was happening. And, I didn't think they were going to do it, and they called my bluff.
It's an interesting perspective that he's talking about there, saying to hear that he's getting frustrated with it. I feel like that's quite an interesting place to be, because I can only imagine, like, interacting with a light in the sky psionically and feeling like you're actually having some kind of communication with it is, like you said, he was questioning his own sanity. It's got to be such a profound experience, right? To then get to the point where you're antagonizing it and are frustrated with it, I feel like that you have to have gotten well over the fact that you are communicating with a light in the sky to get to a point where you're now going, what are you doing? What's the point? What are you here for? What do you want? Do you understand what I'm saying? That kind of interaction is a far cry away from questioning your sanity about the experience you're having. Like, you have now become very desensitized to it and are getting frustrated with it. I mean, I don't know. We don't know how long this stuff was going on for. A lot of people in the chat I saw people saying something about Cherokee blood. Is this something that he says in the interview, or is he of Cherokee heritage? Can anyone highlight what that is about? Because I find that fascinating. And again, it comes back to the conversation of genetics, bloodlines. And this is actually, so we watched the video, the watch along of Jason Samos's video. I actually just finished recording an interview with him, and we kind of went a little bit deeper on this whole, bloodline, are potential bloodlines more tightly connected or linked to a form of non-human intelligence in some way? Are some people higher on a scale towards like an evolutionary scale. Cherokee Owners Club? No, we're not talking about Jeeps. We're not talking about Jeeps. Does this guy have Cherokee blood? Samosa mentioned the Cherokee blood yesterday. We had a really good conversation about this stuff. And, you know, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense that this could be why disclosure is so difficult and why certain conversations need to happen first. Because what if the revelation is that, as Robert Dean and Tom DeLonge and many others have said, that, and Carl Nell said, non-human intelligence has been interacting with us for a long time. This is not new. What if it's because they look just like us and they are walking among us, as the other people have said? And this is why the disclosure conversation is so difficult, because what are the implications if it were to come out that this group of people, or the people from this area of the world, are non-human? That's such a wild thing to say, but that is literally where we are at right now. These are the conversations that are on the table. Carlos Cruz says he's hot. All he needs is a wolf shirt and a fedora. I mean, Carlos, a wolf shirt and a fedora will take any man from a mere 4 to a straight up 11. Any man in a fedora is going straight to an 11. Particularly if their beard is unshaven all the way down their neck, that may even be a 12. 420 Breezy's gifted a membership. You're a legend, sir. Thank you very much. And Bronny says he's sort of a caveman. He's sort of cavemanish to me. Is that mean? Yeah, I think so. Purely because are you basing that off like the way he speaks and looks? Then that would be mean. Yes, I would say that. We finished that clip. Okay, so the next one. The next one, we're going to go straight. You don't like a neck beard, Tommy? Come on. I'm pretty sure the ladies love neck beards. I'm pretty sure. You guys should try it. See how it goes for you. Let me know. Now we're going to get into the actual clips themselves.
Talk me through what happened.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the sky and very clear night. And
okay, sorry. There's an interesting point. Okay, a lot of people are saying he doesn't sound intelligent, and therefore you are hesitant to believe him. Now, I think that's a little bit of an average take, but you're all entitled to your opinion. That's what it's about. Yevgen says, the way he talks, he doesn't strike me as a bloke who's capable to come up with such a complex hoax. Interesting argument. Interesting argument. And my God, Michael, I apologize for the unfortunate pause screen.
After expressing this frustration, I see something very high up in the sky. Like some of you see like a satellite or something, but it was blue and it was going by overhead and it ejected something out of the back of it. And it had its own like light source. Almost looked like a shooting star got ejected out of the bottom of an orb.
Mike, at this stage, you're holding your phone up, a cell phone, and you're filming what you're seeing, correct?
Intelligence has nothing to do with intuition. Thank you very much, Starloom. Fantastic comment. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe that was shot on a Galaxy.
Okay. What did they say to you about your dog? Tell me that story.
So, again, it was like infant stage of NHI communication. And, you know, I asked him to land, and then I instantly got this thought response back in my brain saying, we'll land, but only if you put your dog away in the crate. And I was like, oh, that's a strange request, because I usually have, my dog has seen more aliens than anybody. Okay, he's always with me. And,
So I don't know if that's a joke, what he just said then. My dog has seen more aliens than anybody, and then laughs. Could be a joke. But I find that when we're having these discussions and you're the whistleblower, I mean, he's not a whistleblower, but you know what I mean. When you're the guy telling the story, for me personally, when those little comments get thrown in there, it's like you're confusing me. Like, are you telling a serious story? Or are you telling jokes? Now I'm unsure what's real and what isn't. Because obviously what you're saying here is very extraordinary. So when you start throwing in little jokes like that, I get confused. And it makes this all harder to digest. But I mean, this whole thing is weird, right? Like, the aliens are telling him to put his dog away. I don't know. Since Josh has been out sarcasmed, impossible. Maybe. But okay, okay, look, I'll give you a quick little story time. My shower head is broken, so I've been having baths like an 87-year-old man until my shower head gets fixed. That's relevant because I was having a bath. You're probably thinking, what the hell is he talking about? Where is this going? I was having a bath with the window open because, you know, it's private. No one can see. And it was nighttime. And Suki strolled into the bathroom and started looking out at the darkness and whimpering and crying. And I'm like looking out the window, looking at her, going like, Suki, chill. There's nothing there, right? Right? There's nothing there, right? And she wouldn't. She was like anxious, like her hair was up on her neck and she's just staring into darkness, making like whimpering noises. And look, I had maybe had a little hit of my THC vape before I got in the bath to relax and just wind down. So when the dog starts whimpering at darkness, it makes me a little anxious, especially when I've hit my THC pen. You know what I'm saying? Get a little paranoid. So it's interesting when this guy is saying his dog has interacted and seen the aliens, and Suki also, who may have been paranoid herself due to her own conspiracies, is looking into darkness and freaking out. I'm not going to lie, that kind of freaked me out.
Yeah, but he's Belgian Shepherd, Belgian Malinois, Dutch Shepherd mix, and he's.
Oh, they're a very big, fierce dog. They're used by a lot of people in special forces, but they're
Absolutely.
a terrifying animal, aren't they? They're a very fierce dog.
Josh, chill. It was just a peeping Tom. It was Ali. It was you, wasn't it, Ali? You were at my window when I was in the bath. I bet you. I know it. I know. I already know.
So I was like, all right, sorry, dude. You have to sit this one out. So I brought him back outside, and then that's when something ejected out of the bottom, and then you could see it slowly, coming down until it just started to get closer and closer. And then, once it got in proximity of me within 100 feet, as it was closing in, it did something to me that affected me physiologically in a way that almost made me docile or compliant, which I thought was strange. Almost like not a dreamlike state or a trance, but like it was way too casual for me at the time to be seeing that happen.
Well, you're about to have a close encounters of the fifth kind. You're about to meet, allegedly, something non-human. I would be pretty excited and possibly a little bit scared. I can hear your respiration on the video. You're breathing far more quickly than normal, I think.
And Ross would know a lot about that.
Right. And so when it was coming down and it finally hits the ground, I'm standing there and I'm looking at it. I'm like, what is that? I didn't have a frame of reference, because I hadn't seen something like that yet. So I'm staring it down and it's staring me down. And then there was also a chicken nearby and we're all staring each other down. And it almost looked as surprised to see me as I was to it. So
now, Mike, in that freeze and zoom, you see it looks like some kind of translucent white-blue face, but it's not a human face. It's two black dots for eyes that looks like a sort of a dot for the mouth, and it's a long ovaloid head.
Is it though? Is it though? I mean, Like, shit. I don't know about that. I feel like this is a bit of a stretch. I'll let him finish. Let him finish, goddammit. Let him finish.
Is it on the ground or still in the air at this point? I can't see the video.
I think it's still in the air at this point. It seems to be metamorphosizing out of nothing.
Right. So as it was coming down, it looked like ethereal, like if they're interdimensional, maybe it was, still materializing in the third dimension. And as it got closer, I remember it started morphing like this and pulled one of these, and it was shape shifting into all these different, things. I don't know what they were. You have to take a closer look at it until it turned into something that you would see on a petroglyph, right?
Okay. Like, I don't want to be too critical, right? Because this could be something. It could be. But it's just so indistinct and vague that it's like, I feel like going all in on this is I don't want to say borderline schizophrenic, but like, this could be anything. This could really be anything.
I want to stop you there for a moment. It looks almost like it's got wings. You see the head, and then you see bluey white protuberances out to.
I will say this is kind of interesting. The shape of this thing is interesting. But like, to call the white part a head is being extremely presumptuous about this thing, right? And calling those two dark pixels the eyes. I mean, I'm only assuming that this thing is being filmed extremely far away. Like, this is like you're maxing out the zoom on your iPhone. That's what this looks like it's being filmed with. Actually, he said it was filmed on a Galaxy. So he's maxing out the telephoto lens on his Samsung Galaxy, which is already so grainy. So like, what those little black squares that he's calling eyes could literally just be like the distortion and pixelation of the lens of something that's, it is anomalous, but I just think we're jumping to conclusions here. I don't know.
Which side?
It came down as it looked like a cube with something sticking out the top, and then it started morphing into certain things, and then it turned into something you'd see on a petroglyph. And then after that, I saw a humanoid looking form of it, and he was like wearing a skin tight metallic purple suit, greenish, grayish, bluish skin. It was nighttime in the camera. And then after that, that's when it appeared as what you're talking about. And in the video, like when I was seeing it in person for the first time, I was like, oh, that kind of looked like an angel to me, because it kind of had like the wings like this and like a light emanating at the top, like a halo. But as it got closer, it wasn't that, stereotypical, image of an angel you get, when you think of the Bible. It was a solid craft that was lit up in that way.
At this point, is whatever the object is, entity, object, whatever you want to call it, is it telepathically communicating with you?
So at this point, I was in that docile mind frame, and I don't think that it was. I think it was induced almost, because like once it actually hit the ground and I saw how big it was no bigger than 3.5 feet, and it probably didn't want me to come closer. Like Ross, if something landed right here next to me now, I'd probably be more inclined to walk up to it and see what that's about. But that wasn't a thing. And the fact that I was even able to reach for my phone, I was fighting it. And some of those shots are very shaky. I actually had reached for both phones, and I was trying to see which one looked better. But it wasn't. It was just so surreal that it's hard to describe and replicate unless you're in that position.
I just want to say, even though I'm being critical of the footage, I don't disbelieve Michael Batista. By the way, I don't want to come across like I think he's lying, because I don't. I believe him, but I also think there is a lot of assumptions being made, perhaps, at least on Ross's side. He just said that this thing is 3 to 3.5 feet tall. So, and it landed. I mean, I need to let this thing play. But if this thing is 3.5 feet tall and it's and he can see it land, he must be very close to it, which should mean we get some clear footage in this video. And for anyone who's tuning in a bit late, I haven't watched this yet. Like, this is a raw reaction. I haven't seen this stuff. Agent Milkman with $10 says, I'm really happy I found your channel, Josh. I just listened to your Lacerda Files videos last night, and that was fascinating. You're awesome, brother. Wishing you success and happiness. Oh, thank you, man. That's very kind of you. And digging through the archives, I see Lacerda was a while ago, but I'm glad that you're going through and enjoying a whole catalog of content there. Thank you, my man. Kelly says, Polarity, can I have an email address, as I got you a gift back on 40K party, but I've not been able to send you the link. Oh, thank you very much. Of course, if you go to my About on the channel, you will find my email. It's just josh.polarity@gmail.com. Emmy Kate, celebrating 4 months as a member. That's a nope from me. Emmy's not buying it. 35 Farm says, the first time an orb presented in my room, it was invisible. My dog alerted me that I was being visited, and then I started filming, which started hundreds of filmed visits thanks to her. So you're saying your dog started getting a little bit upset, and you couldn't see anything, so you started filming, and then on the film you started to see objects. Is that what you're saying, 35 Farm? Because now I think that something was watching me have a bath, and it was probably Ali's drone. Trevor, Green Berets are tier 1 operators, some of America's best men, so we should credit him a bit. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, I think people ripping on him for the way he talks or whatever is just a bit lazy. But we're all entitled to our own opinions. Ty Jones says, 710 Glob Gang, share the space, Koosh Farm, I am ET. Ty Jones, you are a strange little man, sir, and I have no idea what you just said, but thank you very much for the $2. Corey Moo's channel, she is constantly communicating with orbs in diminished air fashion with video evidence. I would love your take. Love your work, bro. Thank you very much, concert mate. Emily, you little freak, welcome back to being a member. And Old Wrathgate, $5. Dude, I love your show. I just checked out the Samosa episode you covered last night, and it blew me away. Cheers from WA State at 5:30 a.m. before work. Shout out to you, bro. Thank you for checking out the live streams, and welcome to the channel.
But what I'm seeing, and I think what you say you saw, you see some kind of what looks like a being. It's got an ovoid head, small eyes, a mouth. What would it be?
And it had like football head.
Do you think it would be fair to say that it looks like an insect?
Well,
like a praying mantis?
I mean, I feel Ross is being very leading with these questions. Like, these are loaded questions.
I saw a lot of things that night. The photo I think you're talking about, if you see the purple, if that's the one, that to me looked like a gray because it was so small. But as the experience progressed, it started to, I saw more than one entity that night, and I did see something that looked like an insect for sure, like a praying mantis.
I'm watching this on real time, and you need to go frame by frame, but what you can see is it kind of moves between looking like an insect, like with that ovaloid football-shaped head, and then it's like the classic grey head, like the Whitley Strieber Communion book with the round bulbous head. And you can see why it looks like an angel, because you see what looked like wings coming out from the side of it. It's quite extraordinary.
Brother, I'm not I'm not seeing that actually at all. I'm not seeing it morph from a praying mantis to a grey at all. Is it like, and I don't want to be rude, is anyone else? Like, can anyone point this out to me? I've always found Ross to be very, like, rigorous and, like, pretty grounded. This does not feel like normal Ross assessment of things. He means with the wings and stuff looking like the mantis front legs. I mean, I obviously understand the wings are like, but I'm sort of focused on the face because he said it looks like it's transitioning from a grey to a praying mantis, and I can't see either of them. I really can't.
Between looking like an insect, like with that ovaloid football-shaped head, and then it's like the classic grey head, like the Whitley Strieber Communion book with the round bulbous head. And you can see why it looks like an angel, because you see what looked like wings coming out from the side of it. It's quite extraordinary.
Yeah, it's, you know.
Dan says, giving him the benefit of the doubt, it's possible that Mike explained what he saw before the show and Ross formulated questions based on it. Fantastic point, Dan. That is actually a really good point. Yeah, there could have been prior discussions about Michael believing that it looked like a grey, and Ross is sort of trying to, you know, probe those ideas as the journalist. Fair play. We love a balanced take here.
That was something that, you know, took time to actually cope with after the fact. You know, like what just happened to me.
Are you scared? Are you scared at this point, Mike? Is there any apprehension in you at this time?
No, there was none. It was strangely casual. It was too calm. It was very familiar though. Very familiar.
Liz says Ross is not challenging like he used to. I think that's a fair assessment too, Liz. Ross, like, if we go back to not that long ago to when Ross was getting Michael Herrera's story, Ross killed that interview in a good way. I mean, like, he was stopping Michael on every point and making him go into detail and really like grinding the as much detail out of him as possible. And obviously this is a different situation, different person, different story. But I feel like that same level of like not accepting the bare minimum isn't there.
Do you think you'd had this experience before but forgotten about it?
No. That's unforgettable.
But maybe that isn't the point of this interview as well. I don't know.
No, but when you say it was familiar, what do you mean?
Just like, you know, even like, say if you're in a room and someone you don't know walks in, like, you know, it's not a familiar feeling. Like there's that vibe there, you know, that's something you feel. Like when it was coming down, it was such a spectacle, and I knew that was for me. Like I don't think it was just saying hello because it was in the neighborhood. Like a thing came down for me, and it was, you know, it was a special experience. But again, like it wasn't like a paralysis feeling. It wasn't fear. There was excitement too, but it was like at first it was just that shock factor. I was like, what is that? You know, what is it?
No, I just want to explain to our audience, you had been in Utah shortly before you did the processing on this video. I mean, obviously this video was recorded in 2023, but you've been working with a lovely fellow, a fellow Viking, Carl Andreasen, Carl Crusher on YouTube. Recommend his shows, by the way. He's done a lot of work on indigenous pictoglyphs. Now, what's fascinating to me, tell me the story about the pictoglyph that you saw of, you see a shape that is whatever this creature has morphed into, and it is uncanny because it looks like the pictoglyph that you've sent me a picture of. That you.
I mean, it kind of does. Like, I can see what they're saying. But like, what is the connection to a random petroglyph in Utah to, like, I want to see the video that came from, because if it's moving the same way that the other video was, in that every single frame it's like morphing and changing, personally, I'm not buying that. Like, you can't just capture one single frame of something that's doing this, where it like just happens to look kind of similar to a random carving on a rock in Utah. I don't know about that. If this thing on the right-hand side here is in a video holding that formation and looking like that the whole time, then okay, I feel like I could entertain that idea and we could go further. But if this is just a screenshot of something that's like constantly morphing and changing, I don't know if there's much to that. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Are people buying into this? And by the way, Carl Crusher is I spoke with him on Vetted's show like recently, and he was talking about he was sort of talking about this stuff in Utah. We had a really good conversation actually. 35 Farm, no, she jumped around 180 degrees happier than ever, wagging her tail like it's Christmas and excited. Interesting. And what why did that prompt you to start filming though, if you just saw your dog excited? Like if Suki started running around, I would just think she's being a happy dog. You know what I mean? That wouldn't make me want to start filming. That's interesting. Rambro says, thinking open-minded, what race would this NHI be? Your guess is as good as mine, brother. Susie Sunshine, he may be speaking slowly because he is psychic. Remember telepathy tapes and non-verbal. P.S. Josh, switch to proton mail. Good point. I would, I think there's probably some kind of argument there that generally people who are intuitive and people who are aligned and in touch with maybe a higher part of themselves are probably inclined to live at a slower pace and maybe speak a little bit slower. I can see where you're coming from there. In regards to proton mail, look, maybe that is a good idea, but at the end of the day, I think if some agency wants my email, they're going to get it. Yeah, I like Signal and all these apps that are meant to be encrypted messaging. Bro, the CIA probably made them, for real, honestly. The CIA probably made all of these encrypted apps. Like, of course or if they didn't, I'm sure they could get in if they wanted to. Stevie with 5 says, Ross once again showing why he's being moved to one side of the whole UFO community on the side of the researchers, creators, etc. Interesting take. Let's keep going.
You and Carl Crusher had seen only a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. During that experience, like one thought I did have was it's turning into all these things. Like, okay, if I'm just, compared to something that's hyper intelligent, I'm a dumb human. Hopefully it's showing me something in a specific sequence so I can understand. And one of the things it turned into was something you'd see on the petroglyphs all over the world. And it's, they're very rigid bodies. They come in like this. And it was holding a shield. And like it looked like something else in its hand too. But you see them all over the place. But the petroglyphs we visited in Utah, they had spirals in them, like a spiral. And Carl was telling me the different directions the spirals mean one thing or the other, like going forward in time or back. And when it created that image of that you would see, it's almost like obviously they saw that too and took enough time to carve it into rock. Something else came out of it, like it opened up a portal, to be like in the third dimension. It was physical after that. It wasn't like a plasma or still manifesting. It was physical after that.
So forgive me, it's a petroglyph, isn't it? That's the correct terminology.
Sure, yes.
James says Carl Crusher sounds like a wrestler. I don't actually think Crusher is his last name either. I think like that literally is a stage name. So I don't know, maybe bro is a wrestler on his that's his hobby. I don't know, but he does sound like a wrestler. It's a very good point, James. Liz says, isn't Carl Crusher involved with Skinwalker? Yeah, I believe so. I believe he is involved with the Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch or whatever that TV show is called. He plays some part in that. Either he's on it or he's involved in the production.
Yeah, sorry, I made the mistake earlier. It was my mistake. So is the correct term petroglyph to describe this rock art?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so in that petroglyph, is he holding what looks like a shield?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it can be interpreted different ways depending on who's making those petroglyphs, but they're all consistent. They're all holding something, and they usually have a spiral on it. I didn't see the spiral in the footage that I have, and I'm not a master editor either, but it seems to be connected to a portal or moving forward and back in time.
So this is really...
That's like, again, I feel like in this conversation, Ross, when he's talking about insect faces and Michael talking about going back and forth in time, I feel like both of them are taking big jumps. And there's a lot of missing context that should be explained in between these points. Like, saying it's okay to say that you think there is time travel involved here, but I feel like that's a very big thing to say. Like, you need more on that. How did we get to that? Yeah, I exactly, Heidi. It's out of context, Josh. Just watch and don't speculate. Richard, no, actually, it's not out of context because everything we've watched so far is literally from the beginning of the show up until now. So we are not missing any context. We've watched everything that they've delivered so far, and we've heard about insect faces and time travel, and I don't see anything about that really suggests that.
Cool. So you're looking at a petroglyph on a rock face in Utah just a few weeks ago with Carl Andreasen, and it appears in the 2023 imagery to have displayed something that is uncannily similar to that petroglyph.
It's not uncannily similar. It's the same. It is the same thing.
And when you saw a few weeks ago that petroglyph, did anything anomalous happen while you were there with Carl?
So,
is he saying, was he just going, it's not similar, it's the same, in reference to the petroglyph in that picture that we just looked at?
During the day when we went to visit, I'm not sure of the picture, but the one where I'm looking up at it, nothing happened at that moment. But we went out to the Anasazi Trail, which has more petroglyphs like that, and as soon as we got there, it's like they opened up the welcoming mat. We had this giant white orb that just like welcomed us. It just appeared as soon as we got there, and we got on a video, and you see it just going up out into space. And we're like, oh wow, that's cool. We didn't even have to hike up that far. All right, let's go home. No, so we kept going, and he showed me all these spots that he frequents, and they're special to him. And he showed me this place that he calls the shaman seat. And there's a whole series of petroglyphs there. The shaman seat's like carved out rock where like a shaman would do his initiations and sit there. And you're looking at these rocks, and they're telling a story of I guess it's the birth of the universe and life and creation. But it's these beings that are like walking through one portal in the rocks up here, and it's coming out of another portal down here. And it's the same stuff that we're seeing in the video.
Very interesting. It does feel like so far that there are big leaps being made in these conversations where I don't know how these dots are connecting. And I have to say, for him to say that picture is, like Ross said, these look similar. And okay, I can take that. I can work with that. But for Michael to cut him off and be like, no, they're the same. I mean, I think I'm being generous by saying they look similar. To assert that they are the same is a little bit red flaggy for me. I mean, like anything in this space, I think we should all be a little bit cautious with anyone who's speaking in absolutes. Unless, of course, they're bringing proof. And, obviously Michael believes he is. And I'm sure what he witnessed in person looked a lot different to the video footage that he's produced. And I'm sure he seems like a reasonable man, as does Ross, that they would understand our own skepticism here when you're speaking in absolutes, but you're providing pictures that kind of look like a game of Pong from the Commodore 64. Okay, this literally looks like a game of Pong. So forgive my skepticism. But again, this isn't skepticism in Michael's story. It's I believe him. I really do. But this evidence is just like, bruh. It's not, you know, and it's only because Ross opens the shows going on about how wild this evidence is. Like, you're building us up to let us down. You should have just said, oh, look, we've got this new footage that's just come out. It's interesting. We'll take a look at it. But when you start talking about revelations and giant leaps in disclosure, like, and then you show a game of Pong, people are naturally going to be a little bit disappointed. Josh, you're becoming cynical? Maybe, but I would probably say I'm just a realist. You know, and that goes both ways. I think that goes both ways. Like, I will call something out if it looks garbage, which this obviously does. But I'm not saying it's not real. I just think the level and quality is lacking. And by now, with how far we've come and all the promises that were made through Skywatcher, we deserve more. Well, no, actually, we don't really deserve anything, to be honest. We're not entitled to anything. But the promises that were made are not delivering. We're not getting the same level of evidence that we were made to believe we were going to get through this process. We've got one more clip to watch. It's a little bit of a longer one, 15 minutes. We'll get into it in a moment. Didn't the Area 51 crafts have Greek language? From Susie. Susie, I think maybe you're thinking of the Roswell crash, but it had some Greek characters on it that apparently translate to freedom. It was actually said Eleftheria. But other craft have had hieroglyphics on it for sure. Stevie says, no, we've done that one. Wrath of Khan Even celebrating 2 months as a member. Mike Def has a good story, but Ross failed him as a journalist to offer an unbiased, thorough interview to allow us to land to our own conclusions. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I think some of Ross's questions here, like it feels like he's coming across like he's already all in. And we sort of know that Ross is all in on this stuff, and he has been for a long time. But he often will still deliver his work in a like diplomatic, unbiased, journalistic way. And I do agree with you that he isn't doing that in this show. Maybe there's reasons to that. I'm not sure why. Or maybe he is just like so deep in it now that he doesn't care. I don't know. But I do agree there is a bit of a difference between, say, this interview and like Michael Herrera. Big difference. Grey Hair Discovery says it's very hard to tell a story on rocks. Just saying. Interesting. What do you mean by that? Give me more. Give me more. Zapparoo says, I'm agreed, Josh. He sounds very rehearsed, and Ross is definitely leading him along in answers to questions. Yep. Achy Balls, $10. Ross must get a heap of really shit emails. I can't even imagine what Ross's inbox looks like. I really can't. And I feel like he's from the generation where he'll actually spend time going through them too. When my inbox gets to like triple digits, I'm a head out. That's it. It's over, bro. It's too far gone at that point. No one's getting a reply. John's gifted a membership. John, you legend, sir. Thank you for the continued support. And Josh Bartlett says, what happened to the egg? Great question, Josh. Great question. All right, let's jump into the last clip here. This one's 15 minutes, so a little bit longer. Hopefully we get a little bit more context to some of the things that we're hearing in this video. It's coming, I swear.
So it gets weirder, guys. Stick with me here. I mean, I know we're talking
certainly does.
here about Magic Mike communicating with a non-human intelligence that's actually pointing out petroglyphs to him in Utah to remind him of what he'd seen in 2023. But it gets even weirder.
That just reminded me, I didn't mean to interrupt you, that it kind of had like a eureka moment at that time. Like, it wasn't until I visited those like exact ones that looked the most similar and sat in that shaman seat that, like, you know, days later, I'm going.
SG says these videos have nothing to do with Skywatcher. Not directly, but he was one of the people that were presented and announced as the Skywatcher psionic asset. And, you know, we're getting all of this media at the moment like, yeah, Skywatcher's still going ahead. Everything's all good. Woohoo. Don't worry about the fact that you haven't seen an episode in 7 months. Everything is great. But, you know, there was that Reddit post that came out recently saying that, you know, it might look all good. Everyone might be trying to tell you that things are all good on the surface, but underneath, things are not good. People came out and tried to say that's not true, but I don't know. Actions speak louder than words.
Going through old footage that I've looked over, you know, overlooked, excuse me, until we kind of like really did a deep dive on this one, and then the timing is impeccable for this. So just the discovery to where we are now, to talking to you.
Mike, what you see is it's a white platform of some kind, and there is what looks like a squatting humanoid figure.
No.
Looks like they've got their knees in a squat and their back is curved, and it's the classic large ovaloid head, and it's side profile looking out from left to right. Did you see that with your own eyes at the time? Were you actually...
Oh, wow. I'm really sorry. I really like Ross. I really do. But that is reaching. Like, and I'll just say, I understand what he's pointing at too. Like, I can see the little head at the top. It looks like a side profile of someone sort of hunched over their knees. I see what I can see what he's saying. But, dude. Like, to go along with the idea that that is what it actually is a whole other ball game. This feels very out of character for Ross, I have to say.
Did you see that with your own eyes at the time? Were you actually perceiving this as an entity sitting on some kind of a platform as you're filming this?
So the entity was sitting there, and the thing.
Okay, I'm sorry I keep pausing it, but I will say, to give Ross the benefit, the fact that he asked the question and Michael is straight away going, yes, the entity was sitting on the platform. I'm going to say that Michael, like this conversation has been had prior, and Ross is asking the questions that he knows are coming. I think that's quite obvious. That's not me trying to defend Ross. I think we can deduce that just from the way that interaction unfolded.
The thing that caught my attention immediately was there was something poking its head out from behind it, looking at me, that was smaller than the grayish whitish thing you're talking about.
Oh yeah, you see it. It's literally the next frame. Yeah, 3 minutes 55. Yeah, so it's peeking around that person.
Guys, this is actually crazy. I'm actually a little bit shocked at this conversation here, at like the way we are jumping to these things. A few people in the chat have said, Josh, you're not being open-minded. I actually disagree with that and would say I don't think Ross and Michael are being open-minded here. I think they are making giant leaps and are being narrow-minded and only focusing on one very vague potential outcome of this. Like if this is the evidence that we are going on, that this is a creature peering out from behind the platform and there's another creature crouching on it. If that's what you're saying this is, that is narrow-minded. I think the open-minded approach here is to say, this is clearly an interesting anomalous video. very indistinct, very vague. It's kind of impossible to determine what this is at all. I think that is the open-minded approach here.
There was multiple beings there that night, and some of them, like, there was just changing. There's so much change. Like, it's like looking into a portal. Like, you'd have this one being looking a certain way, and then like it would just completely change, and like it would almost look like it would be on a craft that it changed. Like, everything was just so strange. It was morphing.
Okay, so I promise you guys, it gets even stranger. Now, this is where I gasped. As you probably know, Mike, I went to...
Yeah, it's a humanoid figure standing up. I can see it too, Ross.
Egypt with friends last year, and I saw a lot of carved granite Egyptian statues. And the image we're looking at now it looks uncannily, I call it the Egyptian. It's uncanny. It's a bluey, purpley white object, entity. There appears to be an arm extended, its right arm. It's looking towards the camera. It seems to be sitting on a platform of some kind. Can you talk me through what you're seeing at the time?
These screenshots, I think, have no weight. Because in the first clip that we looked at, where they were actually letting the video play, we could all see how much every single frame it was changing. So don't just give me one frame and start telling me what this thing is. Show me the video. If this thing is holding this humanoid shape throughout a video, there, but you've just shown me a video of this thing morphing every single frame, and now we're just looking at certain frames saying that it's a man from Egypt. Like, I feel like this conversation is getting quite out of hand. Go touch some grass, Josh. You need to earth yourself. I mean, I don't know why you're saying that. Like, are you upset that I'm not saying, oh my God, it's the man on the platform? Guys, it's the man from Egypt. Oh, clearly it's the man from Egypt. How did we ever think it was anything else but the man from Egypt up in the sky? It's obvious. We don't even need another UAP hearing. We don't need another UAP hearing. It's the man from Egypt in the sky. Disclosure is finished. Pack it up. Go home. We've solved it.
White object, entity. There appears to be an arm extended, its right arm. It's looking towards the camera. It seems to be sitting on a platform of some kind. Can you talk me through what you're seeing at the time?
It's hard with the video not in front of me. So you said the arms extended, is sending it out and touching something. So it looked like there was, it's hard to say because to me, it looked like a skull. It looked like it was holding a skull out in his hand, you know, and that reminds me, like, because the petroglyphs out in Utah, we just saw those same ones were holding heads, like they're calling it the headhunters. And I was like, well, maybe that's like an interface and it's like touching something, you know, like we would. But it seems like it was a being and then it grabbed onto something. But then later on in the video, it almost looks like that centerpiece stays consistent and it's like almost like a portal and things are coming in and out of it.
So I'm just stepping forward very quickly because there is just a most breathtaking moment. It's uncanny, Mike. It's the moment where I think irrefutably...
What is it, Ross? Go on, tell me, what is this one? Any guesses in the chat what this one is? I think, clearly, because I've got an open mind, I think it's clearly what we can see here is 7 grey aliens forming a sort of infinity-like formation, congregating, ready to summon their UAP craft around them. I think with an open mind, we can tell that that's clearly exactly what this screenshot is.
There is an image of what looks like a humanoid head, but it's not human. It's alien. It's got a long neck.
Of course.
A football ovaloid head.
Yeah.
dots for eyes, black dots for eyes, a black dot for a mouth. Talk me through what did you?
So you can see there's the two eyes proportionately next to each other, the mouth. I mean, it's clear as day. It's just clear as day that what we can see here is an alien being. So, I mean, I don't know why this one didn't get put into Congress the other day, because it really would have solved the whole problem then and there. We could have just packed it up and gone home.
You see this at the time?
Is that the one that looks like he's leaning up against something? He's sitting up against it?
It's literally all you're seeing is a translucent white blue object showing looks like a mantis being or I don't know what it is, but essentially
right. And
yes, that's right, Ross. You don't know what it is. I think that's where you need to just ground yourself. And I'm not saying this isn't an alien, by the way. You know, relax. I know people get upset when I'm a bit critical of things. I'm not saying this isn't an alien. I'm just saying let's just pump the brakes here and stop saying this is clearly an alien, because I don't think it is clearly anything at all. It's clearly very vague and indistinct. That's the only thing it clearly is.
Those things were only, like, it happened so quick, and I saw so many different beings. Like the mantis being was one. I saw something look like a gray, and then actually, if you look above the white ethereal guy crouching, there's like this bluish, it almost looks like a mask or a face that's been. There was like another taller entity that was, you know, behind. Like there was so much going on there, and you could see in the video, like every like 10 to 15 frames, it changes into a new being in a whole new like setting and environment in that little area.
Yeah, it's almost like it was showing you everybody there saying hi.
Yeah,
this is me.
Yeah.
Here's another guy. I mean, within a second.
Wrong video. The mantis is next. You'll see. Okay, Al Lester's he's vouching for it. He's vouching for it. We'll see. I'm looking forward to it.
And there are multiple entities, but there's a kind of a bluey green humanoid creature that seems to be looking down, and it's tilting its head slightly. And it's indubitably looks like the top part of a torso that's not human. And it's an ovaloid football head. It's extraordinary.
Yep.
Jackie says, poor Mike, I'm sure he experienced something incredible, but it's just not coming across on video. Yeah, I'm in that lane. Obviously, I'm taking the piss out of this footage because it's just terrible, to be honest. But I don't think I'm not taken away from his experience. I believe him. I do believe him. I just think this footage is... I think the footage and the assumptions that are being made along with it are a bit out of line. But I do believe he experienced something 100%.
And there's actually a frame where it looks like it has, you know, the typical mantis arms as well. In one of the, you can see it, that's right before it extends its hands out. It looks like it grabs onto like a skull. Like you can see, you know, it looks like the mantis arms. And it was just, it felt like I was looking into like a portal. You know, like it was everything at once, and it was definitely one of the most profound experiences I've ever had in my entire life. And
how far away is this showing itself to you, Mike?
It was no more than 50 feet away.
50 feet. And
it was very small.
I know a lot of people are going to ask me this. All the dog lovers are going to ask me this. Your dog's presumably chained up somewhere. Is your dog reacting to what's happening?
No. So I was out like about 200 yards from where he was, 150 yards, 200 yards. And he was in his crate. You know, he's got his, you know, one of those impact crates, the really nice ones. You know, he's real comfortable in there. But yeah, no, I didn't hear any barking or anything like that. But I did get that message. You know, lock up your dog, or we're not coming down there.
I love the idea that a highly advanced alien species is terrified of Belgian Malinois, because I am as well.
I mean, who isn't? Who isn't?
So I'm just scrolling through. It's gone from a blue mist at times. It looks like it was almost recalibrating itself. It goes to a blue mist, and then it goes back into what looks like an alien being or some kind of humanoid being. And there are these, there's no other word for it. There are these kind of wings coming out. I mean, you can see why people
There is definitely other words for it, bro. There is definitely other words for it.
Might describe them as angels. It looks like an angel.
Yeah.
Were you seeing? How big was this object when you were seeing it, Mike?
It was big enough to fit a little 3.5 foot tall thing in there. It wasn't very big at all. And you can see in the video where the tree line is too. Those trees are no bigger than 40 feet.
I know you had an interesting unit of measurement to figure out the height. Tell me how you figured out how high the being was.
You know, when I describe it, you know, and I'm trying to be funny, I tell people that whatever being I encountered at that time was about 3.5 chickens high. You know, it was a good reference point.
Because you've got chickens walking around your backyard, basically.
Those are actually my neighbors, and sometimes they get in my yard. But I will say this: if you ever see a video of a UAP and you hear chickens going off in the background, that's like my watermark. It's probably my video, because they always go off.
I mean, just talk again for me, Mike, because I think this is a really interesting point. How long ago?
I want to see the footage that this photo is taken from. Like this story should have came out with the footage released for us to look at. We need to see the video of this. Does it exist? Has anyone seen it? Is it on X or anything like that? Because this, as a still frame, kind of means nothing given the fact that we just saw that whatever this thing is morphing every single frame. If it's changing every single frame, what good is one frame to us?
Ago did you see these petroglyphs with Carl?
Like last week, about a week ago, and I was just shocked when he brought me up. There's this one particular one that he brought me to, and I just stood there and I was like, okay, like now it makes sense. This is what they were trying to show me, and this is what people, however many thousands of years ago, were trying to show us. You know, it's not easy to carve into rock. You know, so whatever they saw, you know, they meant business, because if they can do perfect spirals, they made that figure in that shape for a specific reason. It's not just because it was easy.
But
I'm sorry, Josh, this is going to be a long video. No, don't worry. We're not watching the whole thing. There's only 6 minutes left.
Implications of this, Mike, are that whatever this phenomenon is, it's been around as long as the Native American peoples were drawing petroglyphs on the walls of rocks in Utah. We're talking thousands of years, aren't we?
Well, I think part of the story that they're trying to portray in these petroglyphs are that these beings, they don't see and react to time like we do, or the perception of time that we have. Like it's not linear to them. You know what I mean? So they've probably always been here, you know, it's.
Like, I'm on board with that. Like, you know, I agree with that. If this is an interdimensional intelligence, it's likely not experiencing time the way we do. You know, it could exist in the past, present, and future all at once. I'm on board with that. It's just I feel like there is like belief systems being connected to vague evidence that isn't really conclusive. Whereas I feel like it's healthier to be more open-minded with something that is so unclear.
10:33 on the video, there is a very good zoom that Carl's done for you of what I call the Egyptian figure. And irrefutably, it's a humanoid. It's some kind of humanoid-shaped entity. It appears to be sitting... Is it? What did you see it as, Mike? Just talk.
Yeah, weird to hear Ross say irrefutably. And like, is this up in the sky? Is this the orb or whatever it is up in the sky, and he's zoomed in on his phone filming this? Because that is the story we've gotten so far. So to say that it's just irrefutably a humanoid standing on a platform, like,
Walk me through that image. It's a freeze frame of a purpley blue white.
Okay, yeah. So that was when,
again, we need the full video.
It was coming down, and like it was right after it turned into that petroglyph shaped figure. That's when it materialized as something that looked humanoid, like in the 3D that you could touch. And he was wearing a.
So this is supposed to be in his backyard. So that platform is the landed being. If this is meant to be in his backyard, and this is the landed being, how big is your backyard, bro? What do you live in? Do you live in the outback? Do you live in 7 football fields? Or is your phone a toaster? Are you taking photos with your toaster, Michael? Why, if this is in your backyard, why the hell is it looking like this? That doesn't make sense to me. And it's 3 to 4 feet tall. 3 to 4 feet tall in his backyard, and this is the picture it gets. To play devil's advocate, maybe this is how a camera picks something up that is semi-materialized in our dimension. I'm open to that. I'm open to the fact that this is potentially a being from another realm that doesn't really exist in 3D the way that we do. But even still, where's the video of that? Where's the full video? If this is a being in your backyard, where is the video of that, bro? Don't give me this. Don't give me a screenshot.
Sitting, is it? What did you see it as, Mike? Just talk me through that image. It's a freeze frame of a purpley blue white.
Okay, yeah. So that was when it was coming down. Well, and it was right after it turned into that petroglyph shaped figure. That's when it materialized as something that looked humanoid, like in the 3D that you could touch. And he was wearing a skin tight purple metallic suit. He had like some sort of controller in his hand, and at the time, like whatever craft that looked like the angel in the beginning, like it opened up. So now it's like almost he's on like the hoverboard from like the Green Goblin, and there's all these orbs behind him, and it was he was showing off.
Okay, so I think we've milked that video for as much as we can for the moment. We're going to change videos now, and
yeah. You have milked that video as much as you can. Yes, you have. That is the most accurate assessment of the entire show so far.
We're going to go to another one that is called The Initiation.
Ooh.
And I'm just going to open that.
Okay.
So
The
Ross,
Initiation.
that first minute is the raw footage, and I was still in that trance, almost like dream state, and I'm holding my phone, and I'm trying to keep it still, and I'm fighting it, so it comes up in the corner of the image, and then we did the raw image first, and then we zoomed in and stabilized it and all that.
No, I've spoken to Carl. For anybody who's going to, I'm sure there will be debunkers and skeptics who say that Carl and you have done something to the vision, but essentially all you've done is lift the brightness, lift the contrast, and zoom. There's no other changes that have been made to this image.
And I invite all the debunkers and skeptics, and I'm not here to try to prove anything to anybody. Like, I encourage independent research. Take a look for yourself. But yeah, we isolated that corner piece of the raw footage, and we manually stabilized it because I'm over here like this, and then we just adjusted the hues a little bit, the exposure, brightness, that kind of stuff, and it made the figures pop, and you're able to really see. But it wasn't until we slowed down the frames even more that like a whole nother world dawned upon us. That it was just shocking.
Okay, so
this is the thing though, like if you're saying you had to slow the frames right down, and then a whole other world dawned on you. I feel like, are you looking for a certain result, and like it's kind of like pareidolia, I guess. You're looking for something, so you're kind of seeing it in anything in a way. I didn't really explain that the way that I mean, but I feel like when you have a preconceived idea of sort of what you think the outcome is or what you want the outcome to be, and then you start slowing down footage and going through individual frames and being like, oh, there it is on that frame. It's like, I don't know. It feels like it feels like you're reaching for something. It's hard to buy into.
Around about 4 minutes 45 on that video, I'm just going to roll that and get you to talk me through it.
Confirmation bias. Yes, thank you, Marinda. That's the word I was looking for.
What I'm seeing is a kind of a blurry, greeny blue object. I presume that's some kind of platform that they were sitting on. And you see what looks like two heads. Can you talk me through what we're seeing?
Right. So it looked like if the craft maybe was shaped like an egg, for example, like it opened up like this, and there was two beings there. There was one in the middle, and then another one. They were moving around a little bit.
Is this what he's explained? Is he explaining what we're watching in this video? Like the craft opening up and there's two beings? Is that what we're meant to be watching right now?
And that's when, you could see like the mantis arms at some point reaching out for the skull. And sorry, I mistake earlier we were talking about the first video. I mixed it up with the second video. So, but yeah, this is where he reaches his arm out and it looks like he's holding the skull.
Brother, how are you making out details of holding a skull? I can't tell what the fuck's going on at all. This guy's got the high-def details of holding a skull in a hand. I don't even know what I'm looking at. I can't tell what I'm looking at. This guy's got 4K details.
Okay, let me go to that. Let me go to that very quickly so that we can talk through it. I need to guide the editor. I mean, ultimately, all the way through this, it looks like it's phase shifting. What do you think is going on? Do you think these creatures are coming interdimensionally? I mean, I'm not...
Were you there, Josh? No, obviously. I'm watching the video like all of us, and I can't see anything.
I'm not aware of what you're being told telepathically, but are you being given any clues as to what's happening here, as to where they're coming from? Because it looks to me like they're sort of...
I think it's telling me a story. Like, it was trying to show me so much at once, almost like, it showed me in the last video things in a specific order, which led me down this path that, to find, those carved in stone. I think it's similar here. And I was up till 4 a.m. dealing with that video. I was texting you at 3 a.m. that video. And, it would change into other entities. Like, it would stay like those two figures would stay there, like in the same relative area, but they would change into different beings. There's actually one that it changes into that looks like it's wearing like one of the Egyptian headdresses. And I can't even count the number of beings that I thought I saw in that video alone. Like there would be
he couldn't count the amount of beings he saw in that video alone.
After every 10, 15 frames, if you slow it down, it changes to a new being and then like a whole new landscape or craft around it. Like it, you have to see for yourself, viewers. It's hard to describe, the feeling you get when you see it up close. It's just.
It must be very different to how it feels when you watch the video, because I think there is like some kind of conflation going on here between Michael's like preconceived ideas of the phenomenon and belief system, and he is just like jumping to conclusions. At least that's how it feels. Now, I'm not denying that Michael had this encounter or experience. I'm not denying that at all. But it just feels like we are just like jumping wildly to conclusions here, and in a way that like I'm actually kind of shocked. Like, as you guys can see, like I'm passionate about this subject because I believe in it, and I'm allergic to bullshit. I don't like it when it feels like we're getting led around in circles, and sometimes that may happen unintentionally, but this feels like that. This feels like this is what that is. Like this kind of footage. Like if you're telling me the one that's on screen here now is a screenshot from a video of a being that landed in your backyard, give me the video. Give me the video. Don't give me the screenshot. This is like, yeah, like there are just things that don't make sense to me. And that's why I get worked up and passionate, because like, I just don't like it when I feel like I'm getting fucked with. And that's what this seems like. And that's not directly from Michael or Ross, but just the whole process of disclosure. It just feels like we're going around in circles here. Simple fact is our eyes don't work like cameras. Yeah, exactly. And that is why this footage is useless. But I don't think, and again, this is where people who have like reactionary binary thinking, they hear me say that and they think I'm like debunking and I'm discrediting Michael and I don't believe it and I'm a skeptic. That's not the case at all. I'm a big believer, and you know, if you watch this channel, you guys know that. But it's like, don't present this to me as evidence. I just don't see the point in it. I actually think it's almost like more harmful. I actually think it's harmful, or at least when you present it with such conviction and such certainty. That is the harmful part. Let me be distinct about that. The harmful part is presenting something like this with these absolutes attached to it, because let's be real, this is anything but absolute. I'm sorry. It just isn't. They're doing a lousy job of freeze framing. Yeah. Are we being Psy-Opt? Maybe. Keep watching, it gets better. That's actually the last clip that I took. I mean, I don't really know if we need to see any more of that. Because I feel like by better, you actually mean worse. And I think, I don't know, I feel like I've seen enough there. What do you think it is then, Josh? As in, like, what do I think he's seeing? I have no idea. And, I mean, how can you deduce anything from that video? What do you think it is? What do you think he saw? Are you... Like, did that video bring you to a concrete conclusion about anything? I think I would say the video is interesting, but the certainty and absolutes that come attached with it make me more skeptical of it. Right, it never gets better. It's always the same grainy, blurry, whatever. Josh, showing this video gives Mick West plenty of ammunition to discredit the whole subject. I mean, people like Mick West are going to discredit the subject anyway. That's literally what he does. He's a debunk machine. He's a debunking NPC. Like, he's just programmed to do that. You could get a thick white to motorboat Mick West and he would still try and debunk it as a hallucination or something. Like, that's just what he does. He's never going to change. Correct, shit picture, we saw nothing. Maggie says, I don't know what to make of any of that. That interview just gave me certainty about Ross pushing a narrative. Yeah, I mean, it did kind of feel that way. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I feel like I may be being a little bit biased there. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Exactly, Serp. I agree with you, bro. With a video like that, it's hard not to be skeptical of what they're representing. You know, guys, I believe that there are shapeshifters in the world, okay? Don't come at me with like, you're a skeptic, you're a debunker. I literally believe there are shapeshifters, okay? I'm all in. But I'm also like, not like blind to something that just doesn't make sense to me. Don't show me a game of Pong and tell me I'm looking at a video of angels. Now, maybe it is an angel in that video, but when it looks like Pong, forgive me for being a bit skeptical, okay? I think that's just healthy. I'm trying to protect my own state of mind here. I'm trying to protect your state of mind. We shouldn't be going all in on videos that look like Pong, regardless of what they're trying to tell us that they are. We owe it to ourselves to get more than that before we start going all in on anything. We literally owe it to ourselves. Flimsy Greenberg says it looks like Mewtwo. It did look like Mewtwo a little bit. You're right. Oh, wow. Okay, we got a few to catch up on here. Dye says, I agree that this isn't Ross's usual MO. Yeah, I think a lot of us feel that way. He was a bit off color today, old Ross. 35 Farm says, this interview is strange and it's not helping other experiences. I would only claim it looked like these weird things. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a balanced approach to take. To just say, like, it looks like this or it felt like this. Speaking in absolutes with something that is so vague, to me, is a kind of a red flag. Larissa says, cool stuff. You have to take everything with a grain of salt. Absolutely. Stevie says, alien gangbang. Beam me up. Yep, me too. Bronny, bro, you just doing the gasp made me crack up. Thank you, sir. Kerry with the wow sticker. Larissa gifted 5 memberships. You're a legend, Larissa. Always spreading the generosity and the love in the chat. Guys, let's get some love hearts in the chat. Honestly, let's get some love hearts in the chat for Larissa, for the new weirdos, and just honestly for the fact that, like, we may all have different opinions about this kind of stuff, and that's okay. That's healthy. We're all different people. We're all from different parts of the world with different approaches to this topic. But at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, right? We all want disclosure. We all want this stuff to be real. We all want the truth. And I think a healthy dose of skepticism is important. It's important to remain balanced, because let's not forget, the main push of this entire topic is really coming from a side of the government / military / intelligence agencies that have been lying about this stuff for the best part of a century. Just think about that. People are frustrated that I'm and many others are not eating out of the hand of the people who have been lying to us for the best part of a century. Now, that's not Ross, that's not Michael, but this is really where the narrative is allowed to come from. I mean, if these guys were saying things that the government and whatever didn't want out, they wouldn't be saying it, okay? People can't even go into Congress without going through the DOPSA process. So let's not forget those things. This is coming from the place that have been lying for a long ass time. And also, they've never admitted that, by the way. It's not like they've come out and said, oh, look, sorry, we did cover up Roswell for a while. We did decide that secrecy was the best approach here because of XYZ. They've never said that, okay? That's never, ever happened. They've just lied for a long time. And now suddenly they're telling us the truth. Is it? Why the sudden change of heart? Why did you suddenly feel the need to tell us the truth? You still haven't admitted you lied, though. Like, guys, you know what I mean? This healthy skepticism is important. But I'm a believer. Aliens are real. UFOs, I believe all this stuff is real. But let's just be careful about the stuff that gets presented on a silver platter like the perfect response. Okay? Curious J with $10 says, hi Josh, I usually miss these as I'm at work. Glad I caught this. Not sure we should be summoning entities we know nothing about. I agree. Love your content. All the best from Maryland. Thank you very much, Curious J. I think you make a great point. Achy Balls, I've emailed you a clip from a video I took on an IR modified camera a few weeks ago. It shows a right angle turn at speed. It's not perfect, but better than this. I'll take a look at that. And if it is actually better than this, I'll show it on the next stream. Stevie, sorry, really, but stop them. If the uninformed public sees this, we are done and discredited. Dude, I actually think that's a fantastic point. Think about that, guys. If your friend from work or your mum or whatever who isn't into UFOs and, you know, they know that you're into all this weird alien shit, you know, they know you've got your little special autistic little interest that we all have. And one day they came to you and they were like, you know what? I've been thinking about this alien thing that you keep talking about that you're into. Show me. Show me the latest thing that's come out. Show me the latest video so I can get into this topic. And then you showed them that. They're going to go, this is what they're going to say to you. They're going to say, oh my God, I hope you slapped a like on the Polarity video, because when you leave and you've liked, you get a 20% discount at your local mental health facility, and get in the car because I'm going to take you there right now. If this is what you've been spending your entire special interest on and obsessing over for the last few years, get in the car because we're going to the local mental health facility right now. Stevie, if the greater public sees that as what we have all been obsessed with for years, it's over, bro. It is over. And I'm a believer, but that ain't it. That ain't it. See you later, Ali. I hope you feel better tomorrow. Take care. Daniel Walmsley for $5. Replace the words News Nation with CIA and see how it all feels after that. I enjoy this particular Psy-Op, but you people need to wake up. I do agree, sir. This is a particularly interesting and entertaining Psy-Op that we are all in. And by the way, speaking of Psy-Ops, you can even get yourself that t-shirt right there at the Polarity merch store that says reality is a Psy-Op. The link is in the description. Let people know that you're obsessed with little pixelated videos of Egyptian entities and angels. They won't think any less of you, I promise. Adam Dev says, I thought they were just trying to make sense of the images, but I think it's some plasma-based hologram tech, or at least tests for the new Tupac concert. I like it, Adam. I like the way you think. Maybe, bro. Maybe. I mean, I'm definitely open to the idea that like plasma is sentient and potentially intelligent. And I think maybe that like that's something I can get on board with, something anomalous, and intelligent, a different form of life that we don't know much about. That makes far more sense as a reasonable hypothesis than it's the Egyptian man on a platform. Like, you know, let's just stay grounded in reality. 35 Farm says, if you had done the interview, the clarity would be brought and required regardless of his hotness. Thank you very much. Nick N from Boys ID, here's a pint on me. What's your beer recommendation? Look, I'm not a big beer drinker, but when I do drink beer, I really enjoy a Bolter, which is an Australian beer. And if we're going to be specific, I enjoy a Bolter Hazy IPA on a hot Australian summer's day at 10 to 8 in the morning. Get that up, yeah. Sorry, that's an Australian meme. Most people are probably like, what the fuck has happened to Josh? I love my autistic internet hobby. Yeah, look, don't take my autistic internet hobby away from me, but let's stay balanced. You seem very triggered and more animated than normal. I wouldn't say triggered, probably animated, but that comes from passion. That comes because I believe in this stuff, and I want truth, and I want justice, and I want to stop being led in circles by vague videos. Like it's wild to me that we, like, it's wild to me personally that we were shown the Tic Tac, the Go Fast video in 2017, and then we're here approaching 2026, and we get shown that, and people are blowing their load over it. Like, that's crazy to me. That is crazy that people don't realize that we are getting nowhere. The discussion is interesting. The discussion is moving. But where's the evidence? In 2017, we were being told there are 20-minute high-def color videos of giant triangles coming out of the ocean. And here we are in 2026 looking at Pong. Okay? Forgive me if I get a little animated. It's because I actually care. Trust me, it's because I care. Totally agree with you, Josh, but you do need to watch the rest later. It gets insane. Okay, I hope you mean insane in a good way. I will check it out for sure. And if I feel like it's something worth bringing up in another video, we will look at it. We won't do a whole video dedicated to it, but I'll cut the clip and we'll talk about it. And hey, if I see an Egyptian angel like Ross and Michael were saying, I will put my hand up and apologize. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. In fact, it's how you learn. And I have no problem in being wrong and admitting it. You should really do a video on Daryl D. James. I guarantee it is the ultimate weirdo story. Well, we just might have to. We just might have to. But I think for today, that is a wrap. Actually, look, while we head out, let's give the girl one treat for being the goodest girl. Suki, here you are, for putting up with the games of Pong and pixelated angels in the sky that are obviously angels. I mean, what else could they have been, right? Guys, thank you for hanging out tonight. I hope you had fun. Like I said, stay balanced. I'm a believer. I'm interested, but let's stay grounded in reality. Demand what we deserve. Be good, be kind, touch grass, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on?
No matter how far you go into the dark, when you flip, you go exactly the same place to the light in our galaxy. Everything. Because everything is in balance. Everything is a polarity.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is.